What is your full name, sir?
It's Morris Arnold Seretan.
Morris Arnold Seretan. Where and when were you born?
I was born January 15th, 1919, in New York City.
And how old are you currently?
I'm 97.
What was your full rank and what part of the armed services were you a part of by the time you left service?
I was a first lieutenant in the Army Infantry.
Can you tell me the units you were a part of?
It was Company D of the, I don't remember, 105th, I think, Infantry, 27th Division.
And what was your role in that unit?
In that unit in combat, I was a platoon leader of a heavy weapons company. Let me try to explain that to you. In those years, a battalion consisted of 4 companies. This was an infantry battalion. There were 4 companies. A, B, and C were rifle companies, and D was the heavy weapons company. We were the sort of artillery for the infantry. We had water-cooled machine guns and 81 millimeter. I can't think of the term now. 81 millimeter.
Mortars?
Mortars, thank you.
You had 60 millimeters as well? Or is
No,
it only 81?
81s we had.
So you
The 60 millimeters were with the riflemen.
Okay. So in the heavy weapons company, you had machine gunners and
Water cooler machine guns.
water cooler machine gunners.
Yeah, they
What's that mean?
That means that there were 2 kinds of machine guns. Air cooled and water cooled. Water cooled were more stable, but they would fire rapidly, and the barrel had to be cooled by water.
Say that again?
The barrels had to be encased in water.
Oh, because of how warm it got. Got it. So let's go back and let's talk about your early childhood, sir. So where did you grow up?
Well, I started life in Manhattan, the Lower East Side, and then there are parts of my life I'd rather not include at this point. But my father remarried, and he married and we moved out of the downtown area to the Bronx, which was really going upscale.
So where did you spend the majority of your childhood?
Up until the time I was about 5 years old, I lived in Lower Manhattan. In the East Side, it was sort of a ghetto.
Okay.
And then, after 5 years old and growing up, I grew up in the Bronx, which was considerably upscale from where I was living previously.
So the Bronx is where you spent your childhood and teenage years.
Correct.
So what were the names of your parents and what were their occupations?
My mother's name, my stepmother's name was Molly, and my father's name was Charles. And my father never had, my stepmother never could have the story of the wicked stepmother. I had the most delightful, beautiful, loving stepmother that anyone could ever want.
And was she a housewife?
Definitely just a housewife. In fact, she couldn't even read and write.
Really?
She was never learned. When she was, they both came from Romania. And my mother, at 9 years old, was apprenticed to a dressmaker.
Your biological mother?
No, I'm talking about, I have no knowledge of my biological mother. That's a story I'd rather not discuss this.
You never met her?
I don't remember her at all.
Okay, so your real mother was basically your stepmother?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, that was the only mother I knew.
So she was apprenticeship at a dressmaker?
At 9 years old.
Okay.
I never had the opportunity of being schooled. And when she came to America, she was a qualified.
Did for a living, you know, she was a housewife. What about your father? What was his occupation?
He finally, in 1929, he opened a little store. Work clothing. Work clothing.
Work clothing.
For laborers and things like that. And we went through the Depression rather comfortably.
Really? So, well, I want to know, did you have any siblings?
One brother.
Was he older or younger?
3 years older than I.
So did he also serve in World War II?
He was a physician. In fact, he went through medical school, and then when he came to get his internship, at that time, the internships in the private hospitals were paying about $20 a month. So he applied for internship in the Army and Navy and public service, and he was finally given an internship at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C.
So he was stateside for the war?
No. This was in 1940.
Oh,
Before the war.
I'm asking, during the war, what did he do?
He was a physician in the Army.
In Europe or in South
He
Pacific?
was in the South Pacific.
Really? What islands did he go on?
I don't recall. I have no memory of where he was. But we corresponded, and I kept touch with him, and he kept touch with me.
What was his name?
Edward
Edward.
Edward Lloyd Seretan.
Okay, so Edward Lloyd Seretan. And was he in the Marine as a medic, or did he go in the Army as a medic?
He was in the Army. He went to he did his internship in an Army hospital, which is Walter Reed, and got a commission as a first lieutenant.
Were you guys close as a family? Your father, your stepmother, your brother, and you? Were you all close?
I'm close with my stepmother. My father was a weird person.
Weird?
And my brother was not a good brother to me at all.
What, he would bully you?
No, we were for 3 years. We were actually 30 years apart.
30 years?
No, I'm saying it seemed like...
Oh, even though you were just 3 years, it seemed like it was 30 years. What he just was, he just acted a lot older. There was just a big
We have nothing in common.
Okay. So tell me, as an early child, you know, growing up in the Bronx, what were some of your fond memories? You know, what would you do for fun?
Well, we lived near a park, which was about 5 or 6 blocks away. And I used to go to the park quite frequently. We played ball there, and it's difficult to say. But we had improvised quite a bit. We did not have the advantages the kids have today.
Say that again?
We did not have the advantages the kids have today. We, for football, we used to roll up newspapers and tie it with a string.
What would you tie newspapers on a string for?
Tie them up into a shape of a ball.
You would make newspapers into a ball.
Into a football.
A football, really? Wow.
And the streets were cobblestones.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to play touch football, not tackle, because you couldn't play on the cobblestones.
And you'd play in the streets?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we played stickball. We didn't have a bat and a ball, so you'd use rolled up silver foil for a ball and use a broomstick for a bat.
Wow. Who were some of your childhood best friends?
I had a group of friends. You want their names? Erwin and Bernie and Abe. There was one Abe Roma, and that's about all I can think of right now.
Were you guys close, a group of friends?
Yeah, we were very close friends. The one guy, Sammy Goldberg, was a Muslim man, and I was sort of not a very aggressive kid, so he was my backbone, and he fights for me.
Did he ever fight for you?
Oh yeah, always.
What were some instances that he had to fight for you?
Well, anytime anybody picks on me, he got in between. And when he was a young man, about 14, 15, he sort of apprenticed himself to an automobile mechanic and learned mechanics. And then I have a vivid memory. He brought a motorcycle over with a sidecar. And we went on a ride. He didn't know how to drive it. And I sat in the sidecar. And I got a ride that I've never forgotten.
Were you scared for your life?
Yeah.
And this was in New York?
In New York City, yeah.
I mean, what else would you guys do for fun as kids?
We tried to do as much mischief as we could.
Yeah?
We, at that time, they had radios with copper wire up through areas up on the roof. We used to steal the copper wire and sell it. One time we made a box kite.
You made a what?
A box kite.
Box kites.
Box kite, you know what that is? A kite that you fly, kites, K-I-T-E, that you fly.
Yeah, flying kite, box kites. So you make it out of boxes.
No, you made it into the shape of a box.
Okay.
And it was very strong, and stupidly, we hooked it up with wire instead of cord, because it was pulled so hard that it would break the cord. So we put wire on it, and then the pull was so strong it cut our fingers, so we had to let go of it.
Wow.
And it flew over the car truck, and it touched the electric wires and blew a transformer,
It blew a transformer.
and we ran away.
Really? What are some other fond memories? Give me some specific instances where you guys, where you look back on and it was a fond memory of yours.
Well, when we got a little older, I bought a 1929 Chevy for $50.
50.
It was the windshield wipers didn't work and there were flakes.
It was a jalopy.
It was a real jalopy. But that was our vehicle, that's what we went with. And everyone used to chip in nickels and dimes. But good gas at that time was 7 gallons for $1.
7 gallons for $1.
So if you had 50 cents, you got 3.5 gallons. And we could have a good time.
Wow. Could you talk to me about what it was like to grow up during the Great Depression? What do you remember, from that time?
I think it brought out things in the human being that you don't see today. Innovation. You may do. And as I said before, we played football with a rolled-up newspaper. And
What were some other things that you innovated?
made skateboard. We went to the Salvation Army, and you could buy broken down skates for a nickel or a dime. And we could nail them on 2x4, which is fun, in the construction site. And they were what the kids push.
Scooter.
Not scooters, that they run on.
Skateboards.
Skateboards. They call them skateboards too.
Is that what they call it?
But ours was skateboards, that's what.
Is that what you guys called it? Did you call it skateboards?
Yeah.
Wow. Where would you get the wheels?
I said we'd go to the Salvation Army and get broken down skates.
Okay, I see.
And you'd get the nails from apple boxes and use a rock as a hammer. And you found ways to accomplish anything.
Did your family suffer during the Great Depression?
No, I think I mentioned before that my father had this little business, a little store, and we were well off by comparison.
Tell me about some instances that made you realize how bad the Depression was. Anything that you saw or heard?
We didn't know that it was bad. Everybody was in the same boat, so it didn't make any difference. That's the way things were, and you may do.
Did you ever see any Hoovervilles? Shanty towns? Made out of cardboard boxes?
No, I lived in New York City. We didn't have that kind of thing. We lived in apartments,
Did you live, is that where you grew up, in an apartment building?
Yeah, an apartment, yeah, 4 stories you walked up.
No elevator?
No, the elevators were in existence in apartments at that time.
Wow.
And we didn't even have a telephone. The telephone used to be in the candy store on the corner. And when you gave somebody your phone number, you gave them the phone number of the phone booth.
Really?
And the candy store man would answer the phone, and then he'd go to the doorbell and ring it. And you'd look out the window and say, "Come on down, you got a phone call."
Was that a common practice?
Yeah.
Would he get paid extra to take all the calls, or it was just what he did?
He did it because we were his customers.
Really?
You buy better candy.
What kind of candy was your favorite?
Oh, the better candies, and sometimes some of the stores may have like the licorice and Nestle bar and little sweet things, I don't know what you call them, they were pasted on paper.
Do you recall listening to FDR's fireside chats on the radio during the
I
Depression?
remember them very well.
What do you remember about them?
Everybody used to get around the radio and listen to this. And he was very encouraging and helpful, and was quite a man in bringing us through the Great Depression. To only think about that time. I think it was his second, no, his third term was when I was allowed to vote. And I didn't vote for him because I didn't want to make more than 2 terms. It would make him a dictator. So that was my philosophy at that time.
But did you like him as a president?
Very much.
Did you listen to any other radio programs growing up?
Listen to all the radio programs. I can't remember offhand, but
It was like the cowboy ones, right? It was cartoons.
there were mysteries and mystery stories and cowboy stories and.
What's the etiquette when listening to the radio? Would the family just all sit around and be very quiet?
Exactly.
No one would talk.
When you talk about the program and the mystery, you try to guess who was the guilty party and things like that.
Say that again?
I said when it was a mystery, you tried to determine who the guilty party was.
Wow. What? Did you enjoy your childhood? Or was it hard?
We didn't know it was hard, as I say. That's what you had to put up with. You did it. You accepted it. There was no alternative.
So what high school did you go to?
It was called James Monroe.
High.
James Monroe High School
And this was in the Bronx.
in the Bronx.
And what year did you graduate?
1935, I believe.
30.
I was 16 years old.
You were 16 years
Yeah,
old?
16 and a half when I graduated high school.
Why? And you completed all 4 years?
Yeah.
How did you graduate so early?
When I was younger, I got skipped in a lot of classes. So I went into high school at 12 and a half, and I got out at 16 and a half.
Was that an unusual thing for a 12-and-a-half-year-old to be in high school?
Yeah, it was, I was a bright kid.
I can tell. Did you feel out of place being so young, or did you enjoy your high school years?
No, I was too young. I couldn't go to my prom. No girl would go with me. And they were all kids that were older than me. So
who would you hang out with? Would you just hang out with your from your friends?
my friends.
From the childhood friends. But they were now a few grades younger.
No, they were all about my age.
Right, but grade-wise, they were below.
Yes.
So, were you more of an academic or athletic type in school?
I wasn't academic, and I wasn't sports-like. As I said, we did our own things. We made up our own games. We played. We got into mischief together.
What kind of games would you make up?
They'd play hide and seek and tag, and we played one game where you take a piece of wood and put it on a curb, and it was another stick that would bounce up, and then hit it and run bases.
So you'd hit it off the curb, then when it came up in the air, you would hit it again.
Exactly.
And then you would run around
Right.
until it fell down? Or?
No, we ran bases.
Oh, you ran bases. I see.
And,
Instead of having a pitcher, that's how you got the ball.
Exactly. We didn't have wood. We were just a piece of wood.
So you graduated Monroe High, James Monroe High,
Right.
in 35. What was your plan? Were you going to go to college right after?
We had a situation. My brother was very bright. He got out of, he did high school, and he went to a special high school called Townsend Harris.
Townsend Harris?
Townsend, Townsend.
Townsend.
Townsend Harris. And he got out in 3 years instead of 4.
So he was also bright.
He was very bright. And then he went to college. And he graduated college when I graduated high school.
So even though you were only 3 years apart, you both went very...
And he wanted to go to medical school.
Did you have any idea what you wanted to do?
So much he wanted to go to medical school, and my father said he can't afford both of us in school. So if I went to work in his store, he would take the money that he'd have to pay an employee and send my brother to medical school. Mm-hmm. So my brother said, okay, he would do it if I promised to go to college when he got out of medical school.
So he wanted to make sure you would go to school?
Yeah. So, and I was only 12 and a half. So, when my brother graduated medical school, he went into, I told you, he became an intern at Walter Reed and was getting $60 a month, which was...
And he was what?
Getting $60 a month, which was a big sum.
Okay.
And he said he would help me if I would go back to college.
So how many years between graduating high school and going to college were there? Was there
4 years.
So there's 4 years after you graduated that you just worked?
My father's store.
Yeah. And where did you end up going to college then?
So then, my father didn't want me to go to college. He said I didn't have the ability that my brother had. I wouldn't make it.
He said that to you?
Yeah. My father kept me in In poor regard because he compared me to my brother.
But how could he keep you in poor regard if you were 12 and a half in high
He
school?
didn't recognize that.
So he felt he was biased towards your brother. He liked your brother more, you would say?
Nothing, yeah, but it was a selfish thing. If my brother became a doctor, he would get the advantage of my brother being a physician.
So you were not very close with your father?
No. My father and I were always at odds. And
Were there times where you just didn't want to live with him anymore?
just when I ran away to school, I went to the University of Florida. That was in 1940.
Early 1940.
And I didn't hitchhike. I got it. In those days, I got a job, if you will, driving a guy who wanted to go from New York to Florida. So I drove him and his family down. And I got my transportation. And he bought me a carton of cigarettes and he paid my motel bills and so forth. And so I got to the University of Florida.
And you had to figure out how to enroll and everything all by yourself?
I did it alone, yeah. And I got a job in the school, working in the school library for 50 cents an hour. And so it did I could earn up to $15 a month. And
That's how much you'd make, $15 a month.
yeah, and
Isn't that amazing? Now some people make $15 an hour.
and I used to eat at they had, I forgot what they call them now, but if somebody had a big house, they'd have a big dining room, and they would feed the students for like a quarter a meal, 25 cents a meal. And so I got a job in one of those places. And what my job was that I had to get there before the other students did. And I set up their places at the tables. And then
So before we continue on about what you were doing at University of Florida, I want to know, during your teenage years, did you go steady with anyone?
while I was working for my father, we got contact with a person that he knew from the old country, from Romania. And they had a family who had, my father had two sons, and they had two daughters. So we sort of hit it off together. And at that time, business was a little better. And my father, I had the old,
You had what?
I had the old Chevy I told you about
The 29.
Yeah. And so he said, he's gonna buy me a better car so we can go together with the other family. They would go for outings.
They would what?
Go for picnics and outings.
Oh, so the family didn't live in Romania. They came to the
I'm
U.S.
talking about being in this country. The family, they knew each other from Romania.
Oh, but they lived in this country.
They were all living in this country at that time.
So what was her name?
Renee.
Did you like her?
Very much. She was a very sweet girl.
Pretty? Yeah.
She wasn't very pretty, but
You are brutally honest.
she was a very sweet girl. And
So you fancied her as a friend, nothing more?
more or less.
So were there any other lucky ladies that you were able to go steady with or talk to?
Not at that time.
It was after the war. But tell me, back then, what would people do for date nights? What kind of things would you, when a group of you guys would all go out?
Well, we'd go to Harlem. That's where there was a black community, and we'd dance. We had a very good relationship with black people.
Well, when you say we, what do you mean?
My friends, me and my friends.
Why? What made you different? Why did you guys get along so well with them compared to people in the other
And
places?
other people did too. It was just an open. Nobody ever thought anything of it. We got together with them, enjoyed dancing and the music, and we went to the Apollo Theater.
You went to the Apollo.
Yeah,
It's notorious for being African American only.
exactly.
But you would go there.
We'd go there and have a wonderful, wonderful time. And Camp Galloway was there at the time.
Who?
Camp Galloway.
Camp Galloway? Is that this musician?
Yeah. And all the other black bands were there. And we never had any problems. We never had any fights.
Well, tell me, because you were an academic, I want to know, in high school, were there any classes or teachers that you were fond of?
Because my brother went before me. He took Latin and French. And so I followed in his footsteps and took Latin and French in high school. And then my Latin teacher was a black man. And he was from England. And the most wonderful man I've ever known.
Really?
He used to preach to us that Latin students were far and above the rest because we took the trouble to learn.
So you enjoyed that class?
He was an amazing man. I enjoyed Latin. I didn't do very well at it because I was not a good student.
Well, you must have been a good student because you skipped so many grades.
That's when I was in grade school.
Oh, okay.
In high school, because I think it was partially brain lazy. I didn't study, and I got by on my memory. I remembered what they spoke about. I never studied.
But you liked the class because of the teacher.
Yeah,
What was his name?
Dr. Wilfred Rankin.
Dr. Wilfred Rankin.
He had a PhD in philosophy.
Tell me about some of the hobbies you had growing up. What interests did you have? What were your hobbies?
We never had any hobbies. That took money, and you didn't spend money on hobbies.
So what would you do in all your free time?
I told you we innovated, we made things, we built things with whatever we had. Election day, for example, we'd collect apple crates from all the vegetable stores and make a big bonfire.
Really? You'd make it in the street?
Yeah.
You'd make the bonfire in the middle of the
In the middle
street?
of the street, the police came and the fire department came, but we'd raise our...
Tell me about some other times you raised hell.
We used to play stickball in
Yeah.
the street, and in the summertime, the older people would sit outside the apartments
The older people.
on the street, and when we used to borrow with his friends, so they'd call the police, and so we had to hide, take and run away.
What was your favorite sport?
When I got a little older, I played tennis.
Okay.
But that was the favorite that I enjoyed, playing tennis.
Tell me about your favorite music back then. You mentioned that one artist. What kind of music did you like? Were there any other artists?
I got another very interesting story. In the apartment that we lived in, when I told you I was a pretty bright kid in school. So, we lived in a huge apartment complex. And it's difficult to describe. It was sort of a courtyard in between two towers.
Of the same building?
Yeah.
Like a quad?
Yeah.
Was it surrounded by the entire building, or was there some open?
It was three-sided.
Okay, okay.
And the teacher called me into her office one day.
Oh, this is your school building?
No, I'm talking about the apartment building.
Yeah.
But my school principal called me to her office, and she told me that she had a young man who had been in some problem, and was a little older than I was, but was coming into the school to be able to graduate at the 8th grade, so that he could wipe his record clean. And she asked me if I would. He lived in the other side of my apartment, the other tower. If I would tune him and help him get through the 8th grade. So I said yes, I'd do it. And I met this guy whose name was also Edward, same as my brother. And Ed Schweiger was his name.
Ed Schweiger.
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 Schweiger. Schweiger.
Schweiger.
And so he said, you know what? While I was in trade school, he was really in reform school. He said when I was in trade school, I learned printing, and I also learned how to play the trumpet. So, if you teach me, help me in school, I'll teach you how to play the trumpet. And so we worked out a deal. And he taught me how to play trumpet.
Wow. And he went on to become...
And I played trumpet in high school.
Because of him?
Yeah, because of him. And my son, two of my sons followed after me. They also played trumpet.
Wow.
So I played in high school band, and I think it's about time for me to go to lunch.
Alright, so let's go back to your early life. Tell me, you were talking about how you worked at the library at the University of Florida. Why did you choose Florida out of all the universities?
Because that was the only place that I could get in that I could afford. It was, tuition was $50 a semester.
$50 a semester?
And both room and board was the same thing. So, the $15 a month that I earned could cover my rent.
So, talk to me, you know, did you have an end goal in what you wanted to become?
No.
What were you studying then?
I just took basic courses.
General education.
You know, the sad thing is, all through my life, I never knew exactly what I really wanted.
Really?
To this day, I still don't know.
So then where were you when you heard about the attack on Pearl Harbor?
It was on a Sunday, and I was at home.
In New York home? Or
Yeah, New York.
why were you home for the holiday?
I was living with my family.
How do you finish university?
Wait a minute, when I heard about it.
December 7th, 1941.
You know what, it's so difficult for me to remember. What?
Take your time.
No, I was at home living in my mother and father's house.
So were you done with university then? Or were you home for the holiday?
I don't recall.
That's fine. Anyway, tell me, you know, were you listening to the radio when you heard it, or someone came and told you?
I guess we heard it on the radio.
What were your thoughts when you heard?
No recollection.
Tell me, besides working at your dad's clothing store, did you have any other jobs growing up? Like a newspaper boy, anything like that? Did you make good friends at the University of Florida?
No. I was a couple of years older than the average student.
You were older. Oh, because you were working for 4 years in between finishing high school. So in high school you were younger than everyone, and then in university you're older than everyone. You can't get a break. So, talk to me about the surge of patriotism that you saw in the U.S. after Pearl Harbor. What do you recall hearing and seeing?
I don't think there was any surge of patriotism. I think it was a matter of anger. You know, you gotta remember that in between Pearl Harbor, there was also the Nazi war in Europe. And so I guess we expected something to occur. I think the draft started about then.
What were your thoughts on what was happening with the Nazis in Europe? What were your thoughts about that? Did you hear about that in the news and everything? What were your thoughts?
You know, I'm trying to recollect.
Take your time. Take your time.
And I think that somewhere around there the draft had started. And I had to leave the university because I knew I was going to be drafted.
Even before Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the draft must have started in 1940, I think.
And I was 23 years old, and I had no obligation, so I knew I was going to be drafted. And there was no sense in me going back to university.
Yeah. What were your thoughts about the Battle of Britain when German was bombing London and England. What were your thoughts about that?
All I think of was a madman in charge of all of that. And it wasn't a matter of patriotism, it was a matter of anger, of a feeling that it would be a self-preservation, because I was born in a Jewish family.
Did you at that point understand what was happening to the Jewish people in Europe? Did that anger you?
Yeah, very much.
What about Japan? Did you hear about when Japan invaded China and what Japan was doing in the South Pacific? Did that make headlines?
That made headlines, but we didn't concentrate on that at all. The concentration was on the European situation.
So Pearl Harbor was a complete surprise.
As far as I was concerned, yes.
After, the U.S. got involved with the war, did you want to go to the European front? Kind of to take vengeance against what they were doing to, your kinfolk?
To be perfectly honest, I thought I'd be better off in the Pacific being Jewish. If I got captured, I know they would kill me.
So it was a blessing in disguise to be in the South Pacific. Could you tell me, what do you remember concerning the isolationist movement? What do you recall about that before Pearl Harbor? Because there was a war going on and a lot of people didn't want to get involved, but was it a big deal? Was it a big deal? Like people really did not want to go get in another world war?
It was more, there was no such thing as patriotism or desire for mankind. I think there was selfish instincts.
It was what?
Selfish instincts. How can I preserve myself?
That's what you think the isolationist movement was?
No. I don't know if there was an isolationist movement. We felt that we'd be better off if we didn't get involved. But at that stage of my life, my mind wasn't in that direction at all.
Yeah, that was not, you weren't even concerned with that. Tell me, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, did you listen to FDR's declaration of war address? Saying that this day will live in infamy, we're going to go into war.
It's gonna go down in infamy.
You remember listening to that live? How did that make you feel, knowing that, you were now involved in a war and you would very likely be sent?
Oh, shit.
Really?
I gotta go to war. And I was not as what I ever prepared to become a soldier.
You didn't want that lifestyle. So, tell me, after Pearl Harbor, what did you do in between the time? Were you drafted or did you get enlisted?
I was drafted.
So when did you end up getting drafted?
For December 1941.
42.
Yeah.
We have the paper. No, Joe, I think you're right? Because it couldn't have been 41, because that's when Pearl Harbor happened. So it was a year later. What did you do in that time between Pearl Harbor and getting drafted?
No recollection.
Was there a reason why? Because if you enlisted, you could have chosen to go to the Navy or the Air Corps. Why did you wait?
I never gave any thought.
how did they send you a letter, a draft notice? Did that make it very real for you that you were
Yeah, that I was just, and I went to, I was drafted in Sector 46,
New Jersey?
New Jersey.
What were your thoughts on the branch that they assigned you to? You were sent to the Army.
I didn't know that I had a choice. I was drafted and I just followed whatever lead that they put me through.
So you were sent to Fort Dix in New Jersey, and that was your induction?
Yeah.
So is that where they give you the uniform?
Yeah.
And what else do you do? Just march there?
No, then they sent me from Fort Dix to Camp Croft, South Carolina, for basic training.
So talk to me about what it was like to be in South Carolina. Was that your first interaction with segregation?
You know, actually, that was the first time I left the New York City environment.
Really?
Before that, the farthest away I went was Philadelphia.
Wow.
I have never been further than Philadelphia.
But tell me, being in South Carolina, you're talking about, you were telling me you were with friends with guys who would go to Harlem and had great relationships with the African American community. Now that you're in South Carolina, what is that like to see segregation?
Well, more than that, I experienced anti-Semitism in the army itself.
Before you got sent overseas?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about segregation and tell me about your anti-Semitic experiences, please.
You know, in South Carolina, one advantage that I had, let me tell you a funny story. I was in my basic training, and my company commander called me into his office, and he said, "Seretan, I'm going to break you." I said, "How can you break me? I'm nobody. I'm not even a private. I'm a trainee." They started to laugh, and then he said to me, "Can you play a bugle?" And I said, "I know how to play a bugle because I play trumpet." He said, "I know, I saw that on your record." He said, "Do you know any bugle calls?" I said, "No." He said, "Can you read music?" I said, "Yes." So he gave me a book with bugle calls and music. And he said, "Study this, because you're now the company bugler." And so, they needed a bugler to go on guard's mount. Guard mount is when they have a guard. And you had to have a bugler in the group. And so, I said...
And you said?
And I said, how can I even mount guard? I don't know any of the calls. He says, just read it out of your music book. So, that night, I mounted guard. And the first call was with the bugle drum corps. And so I just followed along my ear with the group. And then at 10 o'clock, with lights out, and the longest bugle call in the army repertoire is called tattoo.
What's it called?
Tattoo.
Tattoo.
And
That's the name of what, though?
That's the bugle call.
The bugle call is called tattoo.
Tattoo. And that's lights out.
Okay.
And that's, it precedes taps by 1 hour. So it's 10 o'clock at night. And so they said, okay, now you're gonna go up on the guard mount, which is up on the hill, and play into a megaphone in 3 directions, because there were 3 battalions in the regiment.
Which battalion were you?
I was in the 1st Battalion.
Okay.
And so I got up and 10 o'clock at night, I got up on the hill, and I took out my music, and then I realized it's pitch black and there's no lights out there.
So you couldn't even read the music?
I couldn't read the music, so I remembered a little bit, and they heard the word tattoo if they ever heard their lives.
Talk to me about those anti-Semitic experiences.
Well, Camp Cross wasn't too bad, because in the Bugle, in my association, and the Bugle and Drum Corps, were all guys from big cities. So, and most of them were professional musicians. And I played in big bands, so I was in all of them. You know, I got hand to hand with the musicians that I used to hear on the TV, from on the radio.
Really? What about segregation?
We didn't have any, you know, in our group. I did my thing. My 2 jobs in the Army. I was a bugler and I was the mail clerk.
You were what?
The mail
Mail clerk. So did you ever go outside of the base into South Carolina?
Yeah, and
But so when you would go into the civilian areas, didn't you see the segregation?
yeah, you just ignore it, I guess.
But describe to me, for someone who's never lived in a time when that was a norm, well,
It was hard to understand. Why couldn't they drink out of the same fountain? Why did we have to go to different bathrooms? Well, those things were very confusing.
was that completely new to you? Had you heard about segregation and you knew they had it?
We knew they had it, but you never experienced it. It was so different.
Before we continue, I want to know, when you went to the office after you got your draft notice, they gave you your physical, right?
Yeah.
Did they test you for anything, or was it just a physical?
If I remember correctly, they just asked you questions, you slipped, they checked your vitals, your testicles and your penis. And if you didn't have any venereal disease, you were okay.
Now, do you remember which office you went to? Which recruitment office? It was in New York, though.
Yeah.
And there were a whole bunch of other guys there as well? Guys like you?
Yeah. You know, a lot of guys in the same area.
Did the friends who you grew up with, your best friends, did they join up as well?
They were drafted the same as I, but in different times.
Did they all survive the war?
The only 2 friends that I knew about where they were in the time of the war. And one of them, my best friend, Abe Ruler, had a very bad eyesight. And at the time, working for the federal government. I don't know what office he was working for. So, he was a fraud, they call it a 4F. He was drafted, and he felt guilty. So he applied. He wanted to waive his exemption and enlist. He felt guilty that he couldn't enlist. And so they allowed him to do that. And then what they did, they took him back in, and he went to work in the same office at less pay.
Wow.
He got $30 or $20 a month instead of his regular weekly pay.
You know, before you got shipped off to Fort Dix, what was that like to say goodbye to your stepmother and your father?
My stepmother cried like a baby. And my father just...
She's not even your stepmother, she's your mother. She was your mother.
That's right.
So she was crying. And what about your father?
I don't know, he was very private. You want to call it private? He kept everything inside himself. He never revealed anything to us kids.
Did he say good luck or something? It was just a goodbye.
I don't even remember.
Were you scared at that point? Or were you excited?
No, very scared. I knew nothing about firearms. I knew nothing. Let me tell you a very funny incident. When I became bugler of the guard, I had to wear a sidearm, a 45 automatic, not an automatic, but a revolver.
Yeah.
And they gave me a half a clip of bullets. I was so afraid of it that I put the bullets in one pocket on the other side of where I kept the gun.
Just so it wouldn't go off. So after, at Fort Dix, that's where you do your basic training.
Yeah.
Take me through a base,
Not at Fort Dix, Camp Croft.
Oh, yes, thank you. So Fort Dix was your induction, and you got sent on a train to Camp Croft in South Carolina.
Right.
Take me through a typical day in basic training. So you wake up early. What time?
He got you up about 5 o'clock.
Really?
And then,
What wakes you up? A drill sergeant or a trumpet bugler?
the bugler broke you.
Okay. So they wake you up, then what?
And then you go, if I remember correctly, you did some exercises. And then go for breakfast. And then after breakfast, they had a routine of different things that they sent you for training. 1 hour at a time, you'd go from one to the next, a different marching and drill. Just learn all the preliminary things in military. How to salute, all the basic necessities that you need to know to be a soldier.
So, what weapons did you qualify on during basic training?
Yeah, the rifle was the only weapon bayonet training.
Was it a M1 or was it a carbine?
No, it was O2.
O2 rifle.
They were bolt-action rifles.
Is that what you ended up using in the South Pacific?
No, they got changed to M1s
Okay.
after I got overseas.
So you were in there at such an early point, even before the M1 came. And it was the O2 bolt actions. So on the O2, what qualification level did you achieve? Marksman, sharpshooter, expert?
I just passed on the skin of my teeth.
What?
I passed as a marksman.
Oh, you passed as a marksman. Did they make you try out other firearms? You know, did you have to throw grenades, use mortars? You had to learn all that?
In fact, we learned grenades with dummies.
Really?
And one of the guys next to me threw one up in the air and said out. It came down, hit me on the head.
Hit you on the head?
Yeah, and cracked the skin of my scalp.
Did you run after it hit you?
No, it's a dummy.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you threw the grenades at dummies, but you meant the grenades were dummies.
Yeah.
They were duds. But it was heavy, so...
With metal, the 2.5 pounds of metal.
Were you angry at him?
But put me in the hospital for a day. I got out and KP duty.
Talk to me, what kind of stuff would they make you do in basic? Would they make you go on long hikes and marches?
You went on hikes, you went on with heavy packs, you ran, you did a lot of physical exercise.
What would happen to you if you weren't able to keep up with the rest of the pack? If you weren't able to continue on the march, or if you got too tired, what would happen?
They pick you up and keep pushing you.
Wow. You know, at this point, you were a smoker, right? When did you pick up smoking?
I started smoking before I went in the army. As a kid, we used to smoke cigarettes.
At what age would you say?
16.
16? What attracted you to it?
It was just something that they didn't want you to do, so you did it.
So by the time you got into the army, it was very commonplace, right? Everyone was smoking?
Yeah.
Was it more of a social thing, or was just something... It was like chewing gum, is that right?
Exactly, everybody did it, so you did it.
But the smoke didn't bother you at all? So tell me, you know, at Camp Croft, did you receive any specialized training, or at any other places?
Well, I did specialized training I avoided because I became an abuser. And so I didn't go through my complete basic training.
You didn't go through it all?
So I became an abuser before that.
So tell me, after Camp Croft, where did they send you?
From Camp Croft, my brother at that time was a captain in the medical corps of the army. And he suggested that I try out to become an officer. And so I put in my application to go to OCS.
Officer candidate.
Officer candidate school. And
Why did you want to be an officer? To be a leader, or was it for extra pay? I mean, what was in it for you?
it was the prestige of it.
Okay.
And my brother would be able to have a better relationship with me, and we would be fellow officers. Rather than an officer to an enlisted personnel.
Yeah.
So you had to go through, there was quite a procedure. You had to get letters of recommendation.
Who did you get your letters from?
My brother had met a girl in the service. And her father was a captain in the medical corps.
So they were both captains, your brother and this girl's father.
Right.
Okay.
And he was one of the people that recommended me. one of my brother's friends who was also a doctor gave me a letter again. I got the letters. I can show you the later about the letters, the recommendations they gave me.
Okay, so you got your letters. What else was part of the procedure to become an officer?
Background check. Oh,
What?
a background check.
A background check, okay.
And also, since my mother and father both came from Romania, and Romania was a communist country, I had to swear allegiance to the American government.
Really? Did you feel silly doing that?
Yes.
Because obviously you are, obviously if you're in the...
That was one of the requirements.
What else?
And I had to get my company commander's permission to be able to go. And the officers that were training us had to sign up for me to go.
What do you mean? The officers who were training?
When I was in Camp Croft, the officers that were training me,
How to say that you would be a good officer.
and that I would make it to become.
So you go through all these barriers, and so you apply and you get accepted? So right after Camp Croft, you go straight to OCS?
Go to Fort Benning, Georgia.
And then, is that OCS?
That's OCS in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay. And what do they make you do at OCS?
You had a very rigorous course of becoming going through basic training all over again, plus classes on how to be an officer in different ranks.
What kind of stuff are they telling you? Is it like how to be a leader?
Yeah.
So, what, in their opinion, what are some of the ways to be a good, effective leader?
But I don't recall all of that. Let me tell you a funny story of that. One of the instructors, that's when I was in OCS, was the talking, lecturing, and then he'd ask questions. And he asked questions from one of the guy, and the guy gave him some kind of bullshit story. So he went like this.
Okay. What's that mean?
He says at the end of the lecture, I'll tell you what that means. So at the end of the lecture, he starts telling us, he says, ants live in an anthill. And they're just like bees, in a hive. He says the queen ant was up on the top of the hill. And she would look down at the field, and she saw there were a bunch of ants were rolling a piece of shit. And she started waving her antenna. She waved her antenna like that. Now to you and I, that doesn't mean anything. But to those ants, it meant stop that shit.
It meant some what?
Stop that shit. So, he said, when you see me do that, you know what I'm telling you.
Yeah. So, did you enjoy OCS? Did you feel was this a more comfortable environment for you?
It's just very interesting to learn, but it was very rigorous.
Did you ever think of giving up?
No. They put you through an awful lot of pressure, and it's designed that way so that they want to see how you're going to react under pressure. And you're always running.
Got it. So, how long is OCS, you would say?
It was in 90 days. They go do a 90-day run when you graduate.
So it was 90 days, and by that time, you went in as what? A private?
I was a corporal.
By the time you went in?
I was a corporal.
By the time you left?
No, I went in as a corporal.
Okay, and then when did you leave? As what?
Second lieutenant.
Okay. So, now you're a second lieutenant. Where do they send you?
First they sent me. I got transferred to California.
Mm-hmm.
Up in Northern California. And we were training new troops. Draftees from the West Coast.
See, what was in the West Coast? New what?
Trainees.
New trainees, okay. Recruits, that's what you said, okay. So, this is where in Northern California? San Francisco? Farther north.
Santa Rosa.
Okay. And you're training new recruits? And how long are you doing this for?
Almost a year.
A year? So, during this time, what happened to the 105th? Have you not been linked up with them yet?
I didn't link up with them until I got to Hawaii.
Okay. So, are you expected, at this time when you're in Santa Rosa, are you expecting to be sent overseas, or are you just expecting to be someone who trains?
They kept us in the most killed off officer with second lieutenants.
What?
The most killed off officer with second lieutenants.
Really?
And they kept a field to replacements to replace you as soon as they needed you.
So you were expecting to be sent to combat?
And we knew we were going to. So they sent us to Hawaii in a pool of about 300
Second lieutenants?
first and second lieutenants.
Wow.
And we were kept in Hawaii until they had requests, and then they'd assign you to different areas. And that's when I got assigned to the 150th.
Well, how long were you in Hawaii before you got assigned to anyone?
About only a short time. About 3 or 4 months, I think.
So what are you doing in that time, though?
They gave you, I was a mess officer. They assigned you duties to keep you busy until such time as it moved you up.
Was it nice to be in this tropical location? Was that an interesting experience?
I loved it. To me, Hawaii was the most beautiful place in the world.
Really?
And when I reached here, I said, I hope they never move me from here.
Well, I want to go back. When you were in Georgia, Georgia's very deep south. So when you went out into the world, did you see more segregation comparatively?
Well, I spent Fort Benning, Georgia. I was so busy with the training that you never even got out.
And no one gave you any shit for being Jewish? You didn't get any...
Not until I got assigned to the 105th.
Really? So tell me about your anti-Semitic experiences with the 105th. Did this happen in combat or in Hawaii?
Well, what happened? After I got my commission in Fort Benning, I went home and I got married.
Really?
To my girlfriend at the time.
You didn't tell me you had a girlfriend. Was this the girl from Romania?
No, this was another one that I had met
Was it an officer's dance you went to? Or
No, that was before I was in the army.
Really? What was her name?
Rose.
Rose.
Rose Richmond.
And you met her at a dance? This is when you were after university, or was this when you were a sales clerk?
That's just the time between my leaving the university and waiting to be drafted.
And in that time, you were working again at your father's.
Yeah.
Wow. Was it love at first sight when you saw her?
It's, I don't know if it's love or whatever you want to call it.
But you were attracted.
Attracted.
And were you guys going out for a long time?
You know, that's what the funny thing is. If you notice, my name is Morris Arnold Seretan. When I met her at the dance, she said to me, "What's your name?" I said, "Morris." She says, "Don't you have another name?" She says, "I got a brother-in-law, his name is Morris, and I don't want to confuse the two of you." So I said, "My middle name is Arnold." So she says, "Okay, I'll call you Arnold."
So that's why you go by Arnold.
And from that time on, I've gone as Arnold.
Is there one that you prefer?
Yeah, Arnold, I prefer it.
So you were going steady with her for what, a year at that point? A year and a half?
For about a year.
And then what made you want to get married right before you go off overseas?
She wanted to get married. She came to Camp Frost.
So you were saying you were going up and down California, the West Coast, and someone saw some lights, and you had to go investigate. What happened?
And so we drove with slit lamps.
Mm-hmm. The slit lamps, yeah.
And it was a dark highway going up north. And it was to make a story short.
No, don't make it short. Continue.
The driver thought that he knew where I was going, and I thought the driver knew, so we both didn't know, and we ran into a wall.
You ran into a wall?
And my face went through the windshield.
Really?
And there's a scar on my nose.
Yeah, I see a faint one, yeah.
And my driver got a bad cut on the side of his face. And he was knocked out. And fortunately, there was a colonel walking his dog that lived up in that area. And he came on us, and he took me to his house with the driver. And they stopped. He called in and this my escort and told them what happened.
Your headquarters.
But in the meantime, there were Navy guards who were going up and down the coast, saw my Jeep with a mad switch and where my nose went through. That looks like a bullet hole with blood. And so they thought I was shot.
From the Japanese.
And so they alerted the battalion. And they blocked the highway. And they stopped people, got them out of the cars, and searched.
Wow.
And
So, I mean, you didn't even see the wall coming at all?
it was white concrete highway and white wall.
Wow.
It was the end of the highway. You couldn't, the fog and then the dim light, you couldn't distinguish it.
So that's the kind of stuff that you were doing in California. How did tell me the ending? What happened? They sent you back up to Santa Rosa?
Well, then they brought me back to headquarters, yeah, and they got things squared away.
Did you get in trouble or no?
No, that's no trouble of mine.
Did you get a Purple Heart?
No, that's not more than that.
Yeah.
But they made a big joke. They said the next time Seretan goes out on a call, give him a tank.
So tell me, when you go to Hawaii, how many men are you put in charge of in the 105th?
No, when I go to Hawaii first, we're in this pool.
This pool of first and second lieutenants.
Right. And then I got assigned to, and I was made assistant to the intelligence officer.
In the 1st Battalion of the 105th.
Right. And then he got promoted to another position, and so I became the intelligence officer.
So, you became the intelligence officer in Hawaii. What is your role as that include?
Because I had the experience in the West Coast.
Yeah, so what are you doing as the intelligence officer in Hawaii? Are you trying to intercept Japanese?
It was, we had no positive, we were just in training for going overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So there were no actual functions in Hawaii. It was just a staging area.
Yeah.
For us to go as a replacement.
Yeah, I understand that, but when you're in Hawaii, you're assigned to the 105th. So when you're assigned to them, how many men are you put in charge of as this second lieutenant?
I was an intelligence officer. I didn't have men.
Okay, so there was not an intelligence team.
It was just an intelligence team. And we trained and got classes in what we might come acquainted with.
At this point, did you question whether or not we would win the war?
No, we were pretty sure. We felt pretty confident that we were the United States and we were supreme.
And you felt that as well?
No question.
So tell me, at what point are you put in charge of men?
When we get overseas, then I'm assigned to Company D. And I was given the platoon, heavy weapons platoon.
So, you're assigned to Company D when you're on the troop carrier ship, is that right? Not when you reach Saipan.
Not before we get on the ship. That would be my duty.
Okay, so when you were leaving Hawaii, that's when you got assigned to the Company D.
Right. And I can't remember how many were in the platoon.
But, I mean, give me an estimate how many men were under your command.
I just trying to think now. Well,
Roughly 18 or 20 are in a platoon.
something like that, yeah. And,
So a company is around, 200 guys.
yeah.
150, 200, right? So you're in charge.
210 at that time with a company.
210. Exactly.
Yeah, because you had company headquarters.
Which were the 10. So each company had its own company headquarters.
Yeah.
So company A, B, C, D, they had fighting men, and they had, together that'd be 40 men for company headquarters. Right?
About that, yeah.
So then tell me, being the second lieutenant you are you in charge of all 200 of these men?
So remember now, I'm now a platoon commander.
Okay. So you.
I got approximately 20, 25.
Okay. So now I understand now. You're the weapons heavy weapons platoon. Do you feel a responsibility for these men?
Very, very much. I was very serious-minded about it. I was 24 years old, and I accepted the responsibility that I had more on the ball than they had, and I would look after every one of them. I had a wonderful relationship with my platoon, because they were all aware of the fact that I would never ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
What was your main goal? To keep them all alive?
Keep us all alive, yeah.
Just to jump ahead, during the combat time, did they all make it? How many of them?
In that last where I got wounded, we had 6 men left standing.
6 men out of your 20.
6 men out of the company.
Out of the 200.
Out of the rest, we just got wounded.
But do you remember how many men? Were there any men in your platoon left standing? 1?
I don't remember because I was badly wounded and I was taken off to the triage area. And I had no idea what happened after that.
But before you got wounded, on the earlier days on Saipan, you saw some of your men get killed. Is that right? Has that taken a huge toll on you? I mean, because you went in it, right, with this, I guess you put this weight on you, right, this responsibility to make sure that they would come out.
Yeah, but nothing that I did created a problem that killed them.
No, I'm not saying that. I know that. I know that. But I'm saying, do you still feel not responsible, because it's not what you didn't do it and you didn't set them up for it, but explain to me the mentality.
So for example, when we reached Carapan, the seaplane base that was overlooking the ocean, my job was at that point, we were up on top of the hill.
Okay.
And the enemy, they faced the ocean because they expected any attack would come from the ocean, not from the mountain behind them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we... So our plan of attack was that we would send riflemen down there and catch the enemy from behind.
Off guard.
Off guard. And my job is water-cooled machine guns because they were a lot more stable than the air-powered, air-cooled machine guns. When the troops got down there, I was to fire over their heads. And
when you say you were to fire, do you mean you personally on the trigger?
No.
You were commanding the guys to fire. Okay, continue.
So we had what we had to do. I can't use my hands and speak at the same time.
Why don't you explain it first and use the hands?
Okay, what we did was a machine gun here and one here, and they would cross.
Oh, I understand. The 2 machine guns were opposite of each other.
And facing down
But they weren't. They weren't facing each other.
So they would form the focal point
Would it
with
hit?
the V.
It was like a V.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So and they're both on top of the mountain.
Right.
And so show me the V. So, okay.
And
Their bullets would converge.
and I had 4 guns, so I had two areas doing the same thing. And they would fire over the heads of the riflemen that were going down there. And I'm firing ahead of them so that they can have a clear area to go to. And then the plan was that I'd reach a point where the V would be where my men were. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, I'm confused because I thought you have 4 machine gunners, 2 and 2, up on the mountain, and they're pointed at a diagonal direction, and their bullets are converging in a V. What do you mean that your men are going to be there?
What's that down there?
But those were riflemen. They weren't part of your platoon.
No, I'm talking about my riflemen.
You had riflemen in your platoon.
No, my company.
Okay, your company. Okay, yes.
My battalion, I'm sorry. My battalion.
They weren't under your command, but they were in the same thing.
I was giving them support.
Yes. So in a sense, they are your riflemen.
They're my riflemen
They are.
from my battalion.
They are. Continue.
And then when I get to the focal point, my riflemen are going to be on level ground. And then I'd no longer be able to fire over their heads. So my plan then was to look for a secondary target. And while we're sitting up on the hill, a sergeant in charge of one of the 2 machine guns to the right of me, a sniper shoots him in the head. And even so I figured I got snipers in the grove.
You saw him get hit?
Yeah. And I know that I got snipers in a grove of trees, which were breadfruit trees.
What fruit tree?
Breadfruit.
Breadfruit.
And so, I figure that's gonna be my secondary target.
The snipers.
Snipers in that grove. And so when my field of fire was masked, I shifted the gun over to the grove of trees, and I told them to spray the area. When they did, I'm looking through binoculars, and I see heavy objects falling.
What do you see?
Heavy objects falling.
Heavy objects.
Fall on the trees.
What do you mean by heavy objects?
I assume that it's the snipers.
Okay. Not like breadfruit, but bodies.
I think that's what the thing is. And as soon as my riflemen were in the clear, I ordered my platoon to back up their guns and meet me down at the Marmon Hill, near where the grove was.
Mm-hmm.
And I take I had like a messenger to go to my brother. And the 2 of us, went down there to see how successful I was. And when we get down there, we find out what I've been shooting was a bunch of breadfruit.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the joke became, make Seretan the mess hall Navy can supply us fresh food.
I mean, in the middle of a battle, losing that sergeant to the sniper, does that even affect you, or are you just so busy trying to figure everything out?
You haven't got time to grieve. You haven't got time to feel sorry. What you gotta do is, you have to worry about self-preservation and the rest of the men.
Which one's higher priority, honestly?
Honestly, it's self-preservation. I gotta be honest about that.
But I think it's like that for a vast majority of people.
I think that's the way it is. But I didn't do anything in my own behalf that would not for the good of the entire group.
No, I'm not saying you did. I know that. I know you're a good person. So, were there any drill sergeants or instructors that had a big impact on you, or who you remember for any reason?
Yes. One old-time sergeant, first sergeant, when I was back in basic training, and I had applied for officer training school. And, the other non-coms would make fun of you. You think you're gonna be an officer? You're not worth shit. But he was an old-timer. He was probably, at that time, maybe 50 years old. And he said to me, don't listen to those guys. I know you're gonna do a good job. I see in you what I would like to be. He says, so go for it and do the best you can. And I remember that. He was a great guy.
Were there any soldiers that you got very close to while training that you remember?
No.
Was it easy for you to adapt to the military lifestyle, like the physical regimen, the food, the social life? Was that an easy transition?
No, it was very difficult.
Talk to me about the difficulties.
You can't explain it. Everything was so far, 180 degrees away from the way I used to live.
Did you feel like you were in a new world completely?
Definitely. It was a different lifestyle completely. The food was different. In fact, at Fort Benning, Georgia, I couldn't eat the damn food.
Why?
It was, everything was in pork fat. Slimy, greasy. And I was used to my stepmother's cooking, which was terrific.
During, the time you were stateside, do you recall the sacrifices that the country was making for the war effort, like buying bonds, the rationing, the recycling?
Yeah, because the rationing was the big issue. And we used to make a joke about it. When we were stateside, for example, in Fort Benning, on weekends when the family came to visit, they would be allowed to come into the cafeteria and eat with us. And especially when they had the steak, we used to say, oh crap, steak again. Don't they ever serve anything with steak?
As a joke, because you guys were lucky to Did your family suffer during all this rationing and everything?
They didn't suffer, no.
All right, so now that you're in Hawaii, tell me about. Based on my research, it said that you guys were training for an amphibious invasion. Well, take me through that. What kind of things would they make you do in order to prepare for your combat when you were in Hawaii?
One thing
A what?
A jungle school.
A juggle school? Like juggling?
Jungle.
Jungle school.
Jungle school.
Sorry.
And it was very, very interesting and very, for example, we learned, we had to have mules carry our supplies, and they taught us how to pack mules. We had the mule skinners from Missouri teach us how to not to overload the mules, the backs.
Did you, in Saipan, did you actually have mules?
No,
But this was in Hawaii.
they were just teaching us what we might run into.
Okay.
And then we went on we had a food pack which was 60 pounds. And we went to a jungle like, and we got to a wall with the mules. The mules were carrying our supplies, our tents and stuff. And we got to a place where there was a sheer drop off, and there was no place that the mules could go down. So they said, okay, you gotta lower your supplies down to the bottom, and then you guys are gonna carry them. So they taught us not to overload the mules, because you might have to carry it yourself.
What else?
They taught us how to, what was possible to eat, how to get moisture and water, how to catch fish if you're in the ocean, how to cook them in the ground, all types of jungle survival.
Did this make you feel good that you could be very self-reliant if you wanted?
No, then I had to go back and teach my regiment what I learned.
Were you confident when teaching them?
Yeah, we went through it.
And you were confident that you'd be able to survive on your own, right? If you were in some island,
Yeah,
they taught you enough.
yeah.
When did you find out that you guys would be shipping off overseas?
Let me tell you, I was a rebel even in the army.
You were what, a rebel?
Yeah, in the 300s, first and second lieutenants, the pool that we had,
Yeah, the pool.
they put the people that were in command of us were first lieutenants also, but they were from West Point.
Mm-hmm.
They were regular army. And so they were really hard on us. They looked at us as beneath them. And one night, we used to go from one training class to another training class.
Would these training classes just be for officers?
Yeah,
What would the enlisted men do? Or not the non-commissioned officers? What would they be doing with all this time? Marching?
no, that's when we were in a pool of just officers.
Okay.
There were no enlisted men.
Okay, sorry, continue.
They were just training for us.
Yeah.
Uh,
But this is in Hawaii.
yeah.
Okay, continue.
No, wait a minute. This was back in the United States
California.
before we went over to California.
Alright, continue.
And an officer didn't know that after an hour's time, you have a latrine break. Guys have to pee.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy that was in charge of our operation didn't let us stop to pee. So when I had the chance, I broke out of the ranks and I went to the bathroom. And he came running after me. And he said, "Do you always do this?" And I said, "No, only when I have to pee." And so he reprimanded me to the colonel. And the colonel called me in. And he told me that I was disrespectful to this West Point officer was my superior. And I was going to be punished for reprimand. And what they did, they sent me overseas to Hawaii on a commercial ship that carries supplies. And I had a delightful trip on one of these little boats that went across Hawaii. The rest of them who were not punished came across in a troop ship, and they slept on the floor. And I had a luxury cruise.
But when did you find out? I met in Hawaii. When did you find out you would be shipping off to go to combat?
That was in Hawaii. We went over as replacements to a fill-in outfits.
But you were in Hawaii for quite a while.
About 8 months, I think.
8 or 9 months. So, that's what I'm saying. When did you find out, when you were in Hawaii, when did you find out that you guys were about to go get sent off to combat?
Before they went through it and picked a few at a time. When you got your notice, you went.
Did you know where you were going, or when did you find out?
Well, we knew because we were on a little boat, and the commercial guys told us we were going to Hawaii.
No, I'm saying I'm saying no more Hawaii. After Hawaii, when you went to Saipan, did you know on that trip that you guys were headed to Saipan?
No.
When did they tell you that?
I don't think we knew until we were almost there.
But all you knew was you were about to go to combat.
In fact, when we were at sea, they made an announcement that we were a floating reserve for Marines. We never knew before.
But you guys went in how many days after the initial invasion on Saipan? The first
day.
The same day that they invaded, you guys went on.
Yeah, they immediately had a commission. If you check the map, there were so many casualties of Marines that they said to the Marines, the life of a Marine lasted 48 minutes.
On Saipan. Wow. Alright, Mr. Seretan, thank you for coming back and being with me today. I just want to backtrack a little bit. We left off that you guys were about to leave Hawaii and head off to combat. You didn't know where you would be going, but you knew you'd be going overseas. What was your role, as a second lieutenant? You'd been assigned to the 105th, so you had the 20 guys in your platoon, right? You're the platoon leader. When you guys are, getting ready to go overseas, what's your role for them? Are you just getting them organized, or?
It's difficult for me to try to recollect what we actually did at that time. What I knew was we were put on a ship, my battalion. We all up together on the ship.
How many guys are in a battalion?
About 12 good.
Okay. So your battalion's put on a ship. It was a troop carrier?
No, it's, I don't recall.
No, it's not a big deal.
I believe it was, we were just in the hold of the ship. And, wasn't, a joyride.
Tell me, when you were leaving Hawaii, you know, which is, I guess, the United States, did you think that it might be your last time? Like, you know, leaving the U.S. and you may not come back home?
I don't know if these thoughts would go through your mind at that time. I think you pretty well have a positive attitude.
Yeah, so most of the guys are pretty positive about it.
Yeah, it's not gonna be me. And, as we spoke before.
What?
I said as we spoke before, anybody who said they weren't afraid was either a liar or they were crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you were afraid as well, right?
No question.
Did you do anything to kind of calm your nerves before?
No, as far as I was concerned, all you do is, you just think of how you're gonna react. And, it was, not quite what you expected. We had no idea of what to expect.
I mean, tell me on that note, did the guys who'd already encountered the Japanese, did they talk about, you know, what kind of fighters they were?
And, you know, we had propaganda, and they had propaganda, and we were told how awful they were, and they were told how awful we were. And, it was just propaganda on both sides.
No, I'm saying, though, some of the guys who had already been fighting the Japanese, did you encounter any of them before you went to combat? And did they tell you, you know, what you can expect?
No.
So you went in not knowing anything?
No, exactly. We lived in a pretty comfortable situation in Hawaii. And we were put on the ship and going to where we didn't know what to expect or what was going to happen.
So tell me, you know,
What we could do in Hawaii, we trained in a swimming pool how to jump without abandoning your ship.
Okay.
How to jump into the water and not to survive if you had to evacuate. So we jumped off a high pedestal into the pool with a pack, and you were taught to use your garments as a flotation device.
Mm-hmm. Did you do well in that exercise?
Yeah, I was a good swimmer. I had no problem in that at all.
So tell me, Mr. Seretan, you know, this is happening in 44. The middle of 44 is when you guys are about to go, you know, overseas and see combat. Looking back in history, you know, people, when they think of World War II, they think of like 1940 to 45, right? It's like a very easy thing. That's when it started, that's where it ended. But tell me, you know, in the middle of 44, obviously, you know, living at that time, you had no idea what the end date was. Did this war, especially in the Pacific, did it seem like it would be going on for many more years? Or was it realistic to think that it would be done in a year?
I didn't, I don't think I even gave it any thought at the time. So that's, as I say, on a day-to-day basis. This is what's happening today, what's going to happen tomorrow, period.
Do you remember what you said to your wife before you left to go overseas, or what was it a really sad moment?
And actually, it was sad when she went home when I left for Hawaii.
Oh, so when you left California, she went home
Yeah, she didn't go to Canada. She couldn't go to Hawaii.
with you.
No.
Did you write often?
Yeah, we wrote quite frequently, but receiving mail was nothing. You didn't get any mail in combat. You didn't get it aboard the ship going there. So, if it was sent, it was collected at the Army Post Office, APO, and there until such time as they could deliver it to you.
So how long would you say you're on this ship?
Something I recollect somewhere around 10 days.
I mean, just give me an idea. What would the guys be doing to pass time if you're stuck in the bottom of the ship?
You played cards. It was just a very boring situation. You talked about what you're gonna do, your plans. But other than that, you didn't have very much to do.
Was it weird to think about as you guys got closer to the combat zone that some of the guys that you're looking at you might not see again?
No, we remember now. We were told that we were floating reserve. Marine action.
So you guys were the floating reserve for the Marine action. That's what the 27th was going into the war, the battle knowing.
Right.
Expecting not to be called in.
We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, and if you
Maybe
were...
toward the end of the thing.
Yeah, to clean up, mop up some of the Japanese, but not what ended up happening, right? So it must have been a pretty jovial, right? Not like a super dreary atmosphere.
Young men are not in a dreary mood, you know that.
Would they give you alcohol on the ship?
Give you what?
Alcohol?
No.
No. So, I mean, that's how you would pass the time. So you would sleep, you would eat. Would they teach you anything during the day on the ship?
You'd get reports of what was happening worldwide. They'd have reports over the loudspeaker on the ship.
So, being an officer, a leader of the platoon, is your role not only to make sure to take care of their health and well-being, but is it to take care of all of their needs? Like, if one of the guys has a problem, you're the guy who they go to?
Exactly. Remember, and that was what you built up in your group.
What do you mean? That's what you built up in your group?
To look to you for leadership.
You liked your guys? They were...
I had, as I said, I had a crew that they knew very well that I'd never ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do.
Tell me about the equipment and uniform that you guys were issued, you know, while overseas. So you had your standard army uniform.
They were fatigues.
The combat, right? Combat.
Yeah, the combat fatigues. And you wore no insignia.
What was the reason for that?
Because the Japanese were instructed to shoot officers. Because they felt that they shot the leader. The rest of the group wouldn't know what to do.
So you, as an officer, you could not, say that you were the officer.
Well, you did not wear any insignia.
Yeah, of course.
What you did was have on the back of your uniform.
Have a what?
On the back of your uniform. Yes, everything stenciled. So that they knew who you were and what you were. But the enemy could not see it.
Now, when you're going into combat, in the pack that you're wearing, right? What kind of stuff is in it? You have your utensils, your cooking plates, right? Is there a change of fatigues or no?
No change of clothing at all.
Not even socks or underwear?
No, that was in your baggage. When they dropped you off on the beach, you went just with the bag that you had. And that's something I think we'll discuss in a little while. But the rest of it was piled up on the beach after we landed.
Oh, and then you'd have to go find it later on.
Exactly.
But when you're off fighting, obviously, you only have this backpack with you. Talk to me about the kind of equipment your platoon had. So you had 4 machine gunners, right? Water-cooled machine guns. What else?
81 millimeter mortar.
Okay.
And then each squad, four squads, 4 machine guns, plus 1 squad for the 81 millimeters.
Oh, okay. So there were no other weapons. It was the 81 millimeter mortar and the machine guns.
Right. And everybody carried a weapon.
Like an M1, or was it a carbine?
They used a carbine.
Okay, but you didn't use it. You only had your...
I carried an M1.
Oh, you carried an M1, and you also had
because it's not to distinguish you from many. You don't look like an officer.
So you're just like another soldier.
Exactly.
Did you ever use the M1?
I didn't have time to shoot anything or anybody.
What do you mean you didn't have time?
I was too busy
commanding your guys?
Positioning them, observing what was happening, changing positions, things of that nature.
Of course. And you also had a 45 with you, is that right?
No.
What was your sidearm?
I didn't have a sidearm.
Oh, wow.
Carried the rifle on your shoulder.
What other things are in your backpack then? Besides the mess kit, you probably have some rations in there?
Half of a pump tent.
Half of a pump tent, that's right. And you would split it with another guy.
Exactly.
So 2 guys in a pup tent.
Right.
And was it the sergeant who you would split it with? Or anyone?
You just have half and whoever you connected with.
Oh, so anyone's half could work with anyone else's half.
Exactly. And
what else was in it?
the point of this year, we never had a chance to put up tents. We slept in foxholes.
Really?
There was nowhere. You slept in a 3-man group. One would sleep for 2 hours, the other 2 would be on duty. Then you'd wake one another, and the other one would get a chance to sleep 2 hours, and then you'd wake the other guy. And there were 2 men on and 1 man off sleeping.
What else is in what else equipment do you have? I mean, combat boots, socks, obviously all that stuff. In the island, on this island though, Is it shorts that you're wearing and short sleeve shirt?
No,
It's
no.
still long sleeve everything.
Everything's on army fatigues. No shorts or short sleeve.
Talk to me about the weather. I mean, it must have been brutally hot.
It was hot and humid. And remember, I was on the island for 22 days. And in 22 days, I didn't bathe, I didn't shave.
So you had a beard by the time you were...
Yeah, you didn't. In fact, when I was finally wounded in triage, they took my shoes off and they tried to take my socks off. And I had worn the same socks for 22 days. And the skin of my feet came off with the socks.
Really?
They were just rotted together.
Wow. Do you feel that because you couldn't shower, you couldn't shave, I mean, you had to wear the same clothes in the dirt and the grime day in and day out, do you feel that that kind of dehumanized you to an extent? Or you didn't even think about it?
You don't think about that at all. All you think of is, can I get something to eat and drink? And we had 2 canteens on our strap, and that was our supply for the day. 2 canteens of water.
Was dehydration a big issue?
I don't know if dehydration was an issue, but you had sufficient to keep you alive.
What else would you be carrying in your pack? Is there anything else?
I think we carried 1-day rations.
Okay, in case you got lost or something.
Well, no, that was
Oh, for that day.
for that day.
That's it? How heavy is the pack, you would say?
I have no recollection of how heavy it is.
But by that time, you've been used to it because you're carrying it so often.
We were trained in carrying a 60-pound pack, so it didn't make any difference. But remember that in each squad of machine guns, you had to have 4 men. So it carried the ammunition for it. They were munition carriers.
And that must have been real heavy, of course.
It was way heavy, yeah.
So let's just backtrack a little bit. When you're on the boat with these 1,200 guys, you know, in this battalion, and as you guys get, when did you find out you were going to Saipan? Was it like only a couple days?
I don't think you knew you were going to Saipan.
Really? You didn't even know?
I don't think we knew.
You just knew you were going to some island.
I think we weren't notified until the day that we were committed.
Were you afraid of Japanese submarines? Was that a real fear of...
No, we were there in a huge armada.
Okay, so there's a big convoy in Armada that was protecting you guys.
Exactly, we had all kinds of ships and airplanes.
Describe to me that site. Describe that to me as you're in this boat. How many ships are you seeing?
You see yourself surrounded with vessels of every kind.
That must have made you feel pretty good, right? Pretty.
You feel very confident, yeah.
Wow. And are you seeing planes flying overhead all the time?
There were planes. You see everything there that was in the this was one of the major pushes of the war against Japan.
So, you're expecting to be a floating reserve. Maybe you'll go in at the tail end of the battle. What happens?
When the first day of the operation, we got a report over the loudspeaker. Prepare to disembark. You're being heavy, and we have to be used immediately. And we were going to go over the side on cargo nets. Do you know what cargo nets are? Yeah, that's what we were going to go over the side and go into LSTs.
Higgins boats, yeah.
And then land.
So that's what you ended up doing. Okay. Well, I wanted to know, was your ship there for when the Navy started bombarding the island before the Marines even landed? Were you there for that initial bombardment?
We were offshore.
Yeah, of course.
And we watched it all.
But what was that like to see, you know, because it was continuous, right? Bombardment, continuous. I mean, what is that like to just witness an island getting pummeled?
It's you know, they say, go watch fireworks, you know, on the 4th of July. I saw all the fireworks I wanted to see.
Wow. And was it non-stop?
Pretty much.
Did that make you guys feel that, you know, with all of this, you know, penetration, all these bombs being dropped, the Japanese should be decimated, right?
At least I hope so.
And did you also witness the Marines disembarking and going towards the shore?
Right.
So, explain to me, your floating reserve, how far back would you say? Are we talking about a few miles or even more?
No, it would probably somewhere like a mile out.
That's it?
We had no idea where we were supposed to be.
So you were where you were?
We were where we were.
Okay. So you're telling, you know, the squads to organize. And when you get out of the LST, you're not getting onto dry beach. You're getting in the water. How is it? What, knee deep, waist deep?
About knee deep.
Knee deep. And the first thing you see is this black Marine, bloated, laying there.
Yeah.
Did you see other dead bodies?
Yes. There was a mass of them.
Oh, because at this point it was so soon after the initial invasion, no one had even come to pick them up.
No. Actually, what he does, he gives his orders to the company commander. And the company commander tells his platoons what to do.
So who was your company commander?
A guy called White. White.
Did you like him?
He was well, that's one of the incidents I remember.
I know you told me to talk. We'll talk about that later. But
Okay.
Did you like him as a person?
He was a nice guy. He was a bank teller in civilian life.
Imagine that, right? Guys from all these different facets, right, coming and being a part of the military. So he would tell you guys, basically, the company commander White would tell you, you know, if you guys aren't being committed right now, go here and go search for the enemy. Just on a patrol, almost.
You wait for it. You don't, when he does what to do, you do it. Period.
So you would leave the heavy weapons, though, right, when you would go on these? So tell me...
No, you don't leave them. You take them with you.
But I thought you weren't even being committed.
But you don't leave your weapons behind.
So not only are these guys carrying carbines, they also have to carry the
The
machine.
machine guns, the pots. Each one carries a pot.
Wow.
And 3 munitions carry them. So a squad was basically 6 people.
Are the 81 mortar guys carrying the mortars as well?
Definitely.
Wow. So then tell me, describe to me what it's like to go into this dense foliage, right? You said heavy growth. And not only can you not really see in front of you, at some points it surrounds you. So you're like literally in the middle of this with just these 20 guys, right? Your platoon.
It was more than 20.
Oh, was it a couple platoons together?
No. Remember, we had 6 men to a squad, so it was actually 24.
So you were in charge of 24 guys?
Plus, I had a radio man and a runner. So it's
26.
Like, it's somewhere around 26.
Oh, so roughly, approximately 30 guys. So, but you guys are alone. These 30 guys in this dense foliage, and sometimes you'll hear something up ahead of you.
What you do is you set up somebody to watch your back, somebody to watch your flanks.
Oh, so you kind of move forward in a circle almost, right?
Almost like an oblong.
Okay, like an oval.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking at all during this, or is it usually silent?
No, you're talking.
Just joking around?
Not joking, there's no joking. It's sort of serious conversation. Should we go here? Should we do that? What should we do? Does that look suspicious? What's over here?
And
You worried about survival.
I mean, as their leader, you have the final say on where you guys are going to end up going?
I'm told where I'm supposed to, and I tell them where we're supposed to.
Wow. So, I mean, is it not like, describe to me like the feelings a person has when they're in, the middle of this dense foliage. Sometimes you're hearing something, but you don't know where the Japanese are, and they could be surrounding you for all you know. Or describe to me what like goes on in a person.
Remember, we've got a broad band.
But still, it's still pretty scary, right?
But we're clearing the way for about maybe 700 yards. In the breadth, and we clear an area that we move forward.
Were there any times on these patrols that you guys took on enemy fire?
Constantly. We got picked off. I lost men on the way.
So even before you got committed to combat, you lost guys on these search parties?
Right.
Talk to me about the first time you lost a guy.
I don't remember. Someone was knocked off. They would let you know that so-and-so has been nasty, been taken back, or...
Wait, how big is this oval?
Remember, it's a battalion.
Wait, I thought it was just your platoon.
No, you gotta take a picture of a battalion.
1,200 guys.
From left to right. And then spread over an area.
Oh, and your platoon just has a small area in that. But your platoon, it's spread out like 100 yards maybe?
Yeah, probably.
So if someone on one side gets picked off, you're not going to know about it until... Wow. So would you say you lost 2 or 3 guys this way?
I don't recall.
But when you lose a man like that, what's the routine? What are you supposed to do? You get his body back to headquarters?
I have nothing to do with that.
Really?
That's headquarters handles that. They call for whatever has to be done. To take a wounded man or to take a body or whatever. I'm not responsible for that. That's headquarters.
Now, did you personally see the Japanese Were there any times on these patrols that you saw them? Or was it always this dense foliage?
Remember, it's not a patrol.
Yeah, it's just front line moving.
One line moving up the mountain.
So these were not patrols at all?
They were not patrols.
This was the front lines.
A battalion with moving for.
Wow. But did you encounter, with your own eyes, were you able to see them, or were they always hiding out?
As I say, we didn't see them until we got
Committed.
to a clearing. We got to a clearing.
Okay.
And when we got to the clearing, we found a pile of dead bodies.
Japanese.
Japanese dead bodies. And that's where what happened. Our beautiful American boys took their rifle butts and they broke the jaws of the dead Japanese to get their gold teeth. And they made little sacks.
What they make? They had these sacks.
They made little sacks out of the handkerchief.
Okay.
And they put the gold teeth in there.
Are we talking about a few guys or a lot of guys? How many guys were you saying?
There were a number of guys doing it, comparing who had more gold teeth than the other guy.
And were these pretty fresh bodies? These Japanese?
No, they had been dead for a couple of days.
Talk to me about the site. I mean, how big are we saying?
First of all, it was a stench. The smell was awful.
So the smell hits you before you see it?
We come to the clearing and you see it and smell it at the same time.
Okay, continue.
And I was disgusted with these guys that all I could think of was getting the gold teeth out of the dead bodies.
Did anyone from your platoon do that?
Yes.
Did you reprimand them?
I didn't reprimand them. That's what they wanted to do. They did it. You don't reprimand men in combat.
You think they were doing it just to do it, or you think they were doing it because they were so angry at the Japanese?
It was greed.
Greed?
Yeah, they had no idea that they might be dead the next day. It was, boy, I got cold.
So after you got to this clearing, are we saying that there were like hundreds of Japanese bodies, or like?
There were at least 100. A big pile that we had killed, and they dragged them back.
Wow.
So we had no idea what kind of progress we were making.
But now you could see that you. I mean, did it just make you upset superficially? Like, that's not what these guys should be doing, or it really got you upset?
It made you. How can you think of something like that at a time like this? To me, it was the most crucial thing you could do.
Really? What? So they're taking the rifle butts and they're breaking these guys' heads. So after the clearing, you guys are the entire point of this is to go up to this highest point, right on the island. That's what this was always doing. Were there any other instances that you recall before on these days?
Okay, now you asked me about Captain White.
Yeah. Tell me what happened to Captain White.
When we got to another point where
You got to what?
we reached the point where we couldn't see ahead of ourselves.
Because of the dense.
And so, we had to stop. And we weren't moving forward. And I went to see, I was back with headquarters company.
Oh, are they a little behind? The guys going, the guys?
Yeah, they're behind.
Okay.
So I went back to find out what the movement was. I told him I was going to go up and see why the riflemen weren't moving forward. And when I got to a point, Captain Earl White was laying on the ground, shivering, and his first sergeant was standing over him with his rifle, saying, "Get up, you son of a bitch, and take command of your company." White was completely out of it. He was frightened beyond comparison. He was shaking and couldn't move. And I decided to say, "You son of a bitch, get up or I'll kill you."
Sergeant was saying that.
To the captain.
Get up or I'll kill you.
Get up or I'll kill you, go command your company. And I saw the situation. And I said, "Sergeant, look, there's nothing you can do. The man is out of his mind."
What was White saying? Was he just screaming?
He was shivering and quivering and practically crying.
Had he just killed someone, or it was just,
No,
it was too much?
he was just out of it. I don't know what his mind snapped. And I said, "You know, we gotta get him removed. We'll get somebody else in to take care of him." And they moved him back. He was out of it.
So what?
And they replaced him with another officer.
Do you ever know what happened to him?
I never knew after that. He was sent back, and I don't know what happened to him.
Wow. At this point, had you guys gotten pretty high up to the point?
We were close to the caravan. Not quite.
Okay, and Garapan, this is still the first 5 days, right? Because Garapan's the point where your guys actually, where you actually went into combat and started.
Yeah, that's where we set up. And I told you before about turning into the Breadfruit Grove. That's where it happened.
That's where what happened? The Captain White?
No,
Oh yeah, the Garapan. Yeah, no.
Caravan is where I shot into the Breadfruit Grove.
What is this we're looking at?
That's me, as a lieutenant.
It's you as a what, Lieutenant? Where?
This is my home in the Bronx.
Okay, show me the next one. Please. What is this of?
That's when I was in the Army. 6 days. My folks came to visit me in Fort 6.
Got it. Next one. What is this of?
That is Camp Frost. Camp Frost, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
This is my bugle and drum corps. In Camp Frost.
Okay, continue.
I said this is a picture of my bugle and drum corps in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Show me that. What's this of?
This is in Hollywood, taking pictures where the imprint of the stars were.